Bridges are one of my favorite things in both real life and in video games. Whenever I travel through any video game world, I always love the bridges I come across. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think the aesthetic of the bridge itself, as well as the environment of where bridges are located, such as rivers and mountains, come together to just make a beautiful and immersive experience. And I know a lot of people don't think about bridges in video games, but if you think about any video game you have ever played, there's probably a bridge somewhere in it, and Guild Wars 2 is no exception. Today, I want to go over my 10 favorite bridges across the world of Tyria and talk about why I love them so much. So let's get started. In the number 10 spot is the Cascade Bridge. This is a pretty cool bridge located in the southern half of Lornar's Pass. A really cool aspect about Lornar's Pass is how it is a zone that has the snowy and mountainous Shiver Peaks blend into the green and rolling hills of Kryta and the Steamspur Mountains. Whereas you travel from the northern ends of the map into the southern ends, the environment around you dramatically changes, and one of the main areas that this happens at is at the Cascade Bridge. There is one huge road that travels north-south throughout the entirety of Lornar's Pass, from Snowdrift to Timberline Falls, with many other roads branching off of it. And the Cascade Bridge is a bridge alongside this road, and is located right where the road leaves the snowy areas into the green areas, which that itself is pretty cool, seeing the mountains turn into the grassy hills. But another super cool thing is how it is on the northern end of Foss Lake, a huge and beautiful lake that takes up a lot of the area in southern Lornar's Pass, where you can take a moment on the bridge to look out over the lake and see some of the areas you're about to explore if you're entering this area from the north. And on top of all of this, the bridge is also the central part of an event, where there are a few bridges around the world that get destroyed by enemies, and this is one of them, where pirates are attempting to attack the bridge while the Lion Guard are attempting to defend it and rebuild it in the event the bridge is destroyed. But the bridge itself is also relatively cool looking, but it's definitely not my favorite aesthetic, but with the bridge looking decently cool, being part of a cool world event, and also being located in an absolutely gorgeous area, it made it on this list. Coming in at number 9 is the Snowdrift Haven Bridge. This bridge is located in Snowden Drifts at Snowdrift Haven, a Lion Guard outpost alongside the Lion Road. This is located in another pretty cool area, but definitely a bit less cool than the previous spot, but the snowy mountains and deep canyons are definitely pretty cool. Snowdrift Haven is also pretty cool, and it even has the Secret Order Whisper Space that I highlighted in my top 10 hidden areas video. But for people who don't know, the Lion Road is one of the most important pieces of infrastructure in Tyria, where it connects Radasum, the Grove, Divinity's Reach, Holbrack, the Black Citadel, and Marshwatch Haven with Lion's Arch. It's the biggest trading route in central Tyria, and it is the main way that people navigate the road north of Marshwatch Haven. This bridge is the main way that people can get from the western Shiver Peaks to the eastern Shiver Peaks and into Ascalon. Without it, trade and travel in this area would be slowed down tremendously, where this bridge, just like Cascade Bridge, plays a big part of an event chain as well, where the Sons of Swanir attempt to blow up the bridge while the Lion Guard defend it, where if the bridge is destroyed, the Lion Guard send out woodcutters to collect a bunch of timber, and you have to defend them against the Dredge who are also trying to collect timber. Should you be successful, the bridge is rebuilt and travel through the area can continue. As far as the bridge itself goes, it's pretty decent. It's probably my least favorite bridge as far as the bridge itself goes on this list, but it is definitely super cool with how tall it is and how it reaches all the way down into the canyon, and it definitely makes sense that the bridge looks like this, given that the Lion Guard quickly put it together. In the number 8 spot are the Bonestrand Bridges. This is kind of a 2-for-1 because there are 2 bridges that allow people to travel over the water in the Bonestrand into the village of Purity. And they both look pretty much the same, but if you want which one I prefer more, it's the northern one. Both of the aesthetics of these bridges are super cool, and I just love how they are designed, but I like the northern one more because it is taller and has some braziers. The area they are in is also gorgeous. This is probably one of my favorite spots in all of Guild Wars 2, with the huge mountains and giant palace overlooking the village and all the crop fields around it. When you are playing through the Path of Fire campaign, this is the first time that you leave the Crystal Desert and start heading into Ilona and Palawajoko's kingdom, where this is the first big village right inside the Bone Wall that you come across and start learning about the people who live here and their struggles. The village of Purity also feels like a decent resting point in your adventures throughout this area, where this is probably the most peaceful area in the entirety of the Desolation, and it's a nice and beautiful spot to stop at before you head further south into Joko's territory. But overall, there's not too much to say about these bridges, just that they look super cool, are in a super cool area, and it feels really immersive to walk over these bridges as you enter and leave the village here. And in the number 7 spot is the bridge at the village of Astorea. This is an absolutely gorgeous bridge in an absolutely gorgeous area. As people who watch my videos know, I'm a huge fan of the Savari and their aesthetics, so I'm definitely going to have some bias when it comes to their bridges. And you see bridges like this throughout the world, the Savari architecture utilizing plants. and then of course you see other bridges like vine bridges and fallen logs, which are both cool. But this bridge is located in an area that is super nostalgic for me, as one of my favorite zones in all of Guild Wars 2 is Caledon Forest, as I've spent so much time in this area, especially on my main character, who is a Savari. But beyond bias and nostalgia, you do have to admit this area and this bridge are beautiful. The green cliff sides, the mushrooms, the small creek, the plant bridge, and everything else just comes together and make this area beautiful. It is also the primary exit out of the Savari starting area, where once you complete all the different tasks and other map objectives around the verdants and the surrounding areas, you head west out of Astorea and into the rest of Caledon Forest. Crossing this bridge is kind of like a stepping stone in a Savari's journey in Guild Wars 2, where you have now completed the first hour of the game and it is time for a bigger adventure in a large world. A large world with many bridges to discover. Like the bridge in the number 6 spot, which is the bridge at the Temple of Kormir. This is another super cool bridge from the Path of Fire expansion and is located in the Crystal Oasis. This bridge is built in an Elonian style which looks super cool, as is the Temple of Kormir that it is connected to. The Temple of Kormir is a cool spot where refugees come to for safety, protection, and help, where actually this bridge plays a part in helping the people of the Crystal Desert, where there is a village just north of the Temple of Kormir on the other side of the bridge. The Forge will sometimes attack the village and a bunch of villagers will escape across the bridge to seek safety from the Forged until players are able to reclaim the village. The bridge from the village into the temple also crosses a huge canyon, which is a really cool area itself. The mountains around here are gigantic and super cool looking, where the mountains go up much higher than the bridge, but the canyon also drops down super far below the bridge, where if someone were to fall off this bridge, they would not only face a long fall, but if they survived the fall, they would then have to deal with the hydras that roam around the canyon. In the number 5 spot is the bridge leading to the Dominion of Winds. This is a huge bridge in Caledon Forest that is designed in the style of the Tengu, a style that you can see in the giant Tengu wall that this bridge leads to, which protects the Dominion of Winds. For people who don't know, the Dominion of Winds is a super cool area that has been a part of Guild Wars 2 story speculation for over a decade now, where inside this wall lays an area we have not yet been able to explore yet, which houses a major city for the Tengu. The Tengu, who are a super cool race that may, potentially, hopefully, be a playable race one day. This bridge also features a cool hero challenge where you can spar with one of the Tengu protecting the entrance to the Dominion of Winds. The Tengu and the Dominion of Winds are both super cool, and so is this bridge. The aesthetic of it is beautiful, and it is also a very huge bridge, where it crosses a large body of water, and is kind of the transition from the Ventry Bay to the Quetzal Bay, where the supports for the bridge go super far down into the water, given the fact that the two bays are deep. And the bridge is also super long as, again, it has to cross the bay. Additionally, this bridge plays a big part of one of the Dragon Response missions from the Ice Bridge saga. In the number 4 spot is the Shaemoor Bridge. This is an absolutely beautiful bridge and is probably one of the most iconic bridges in all of Guild Wars 2, and a bridge that most people know. Crossing this bridge is one of the first things that most human players do as they complete the first tutorial mission of the game, where this bridge connects the peaceful village of Shaemoor to the slightly less peaceful area of the Shaemoor Fields, where the first tasks in Queensdale are located. If I were to guess, this is probably the most utilized bridge in the entire game, as it is likely that the most amount of people on the road have used this bridge and that this bridge has been crossed the most amount of times. It's also located in a beautiful part of the world. Queensdale itself is beautiful, with Shaemoor being a major contributor to that with all the fields, houses, creeks, and the City of Divinity's Reach overlooking this area. And of course, if you look at the bridge itself, it is also beautiful. This is definitely one of my favorite bridges in the game as far as aesthetics go. The stone, the wooden planks, the vines, the roof, the water pipes, the hanging baskets, everything just comes together in a beautiful way, and this bridge is just gorgeous. Also, shout out to this bridge right next to it. It is also pretty cool. In the number 3 spot is the Priory Bridge. We return to Lorna's Pass for this one, but this time we are going to be in the northern end of the map. This is another one of the most iconic bridges in Guild Wars 2. The Derman Priory is one of the 3 orders of Tyria that eventually work together to form the Pact and fight back against the Elder Dragons. And the Derman Priory themselves are super cool because they are a collection of scholars and researchers who work to document important events from both the past and the present. Their main headquarters are located here, at the Derman Priory, and the Priory Bridge is the main way to get from the mountains around Lorna's Pass into the Derman Priory. The bridge plays an important part in the personal story, as it is the main place you would defend the Priory from any attackers, given the fact that it is a primary entrance and also a super easy position to hold. The mountain that the Derman Priory is built into, as well as all the other mountains around this area, are absolutely gorgeous. The canyon the bridge covers is also beautiful, with snow-tipped trees blown by frosty winds. Everything about this area is gorgeous, and I just love being on this bridge and looking around it. The bridge itself is also pretty cool looking, has a great aesthetic, and it really fits into the area around it. The Priory Bridge is just a cool and important location, and it is a beautiful bridge in a beautiful location. In the number 2 spot is the Bell Passage Bridge. This is an absolutely gorgeous bridge that is one of the first parts of Cantha that you see during the Ender Dragons expansion. It is located in the Saitong province and overlooks the fishing village at Saitong Harbor. The area around here is beautiful with a combination of the mountains and trees and the harbor itself. The waters around here are a great place to fish, and many people will often drive their skiff under this bridge as they go from one part of Saitong province to another. The bridge also connects the Saitong Harbor to the Xingje Monastery, another super cool location that is also gorgeous. It feels super immersive to walk around this area of the world as you travel from the harbor to the monastery to every other part of Saitong. And of course, if you look at the bridge itself, it is incredible. This is definitely one of the coolest and most grand bridges in the entire game. It is a huge structure that connects to the Imperial Overlook. Like the name suggests, there's a giant bell surrounded by a cool jade structure. Altogether, it is just a beautiful and iconic bridge in a beautiful location. And now for the number 1 spot. The bridge that I consider the single greatest bridge in all of Guild Wars 2, and this one was really difficult, but I think it goes to the Captain Theo Ashford Memorial Bridge. This is the largest bridge in Lion's Arch that connects the Central Grand Piazza to Fort Mariner on the outskirts of Lion's Arch. This is actually a new version of the bridge named after Theo Ashford, who was assassinated during Living World Season 1. The original bridge was called the Gangplank, but was still located in the same spot connecting the same 2 areas. It was also a pretty cool bridge, and I liked it a lot, but I like the newer one more. A lot of people hold very strong opinions about the old version of Lion's Arch compared to the new, but something that I absolutely love about New Lion's Arch compared to the older one is the border area between the central parts of Lion's Arch and Outer Lion's Arch. The giant buildings, tons of houses, huge towers, massive cannons, and of course, this bridge. I just love how fortified this area of Lion's Arch looks. I mean, after all the time that Lion's Arch has been attacked in the story and history of the Guild Wars franchise, it's about time that they beef up their defenses. And this bridge just goes over the harbor that Lion's Arch is built around, separating Sanctum Harbor from the inner harbor, where you can see some docks and ships around this area as well, where you can travel down to the waterfront and do some fishing. Another super cool part about this bridge is how it is the entrance to one of my favorite jumping puzzles in the game, Troll's Revenge, where the start of the jumping puzzle has you climbing around this bridge and the houses surrounding it. One of the Mariner plaques is on this bridge, and then you can also find a bunch of other smaller details if you take the time to look around. The bridge has a really cool name with meaning behind it, looks incredible, and it's also beautiful. And again, this was really hard for me, but I think this is my favorite bridge in all Guild Wars 2, which is why it is number 1 on this list. And that's my list. I hope you enjoyed. This is, of course, my opinions. If you think a bridge should have been on this list, feel free to leave it down in the comments. I had a really hard time making this list because of how many bridges I love in Guild Wars 2, and even when I had a list of 10, it was hard to put them in order. Because of that, I have a long list of honorable mentions in the description. Additionally, since this topic is probably going to be unpopular as far as top 10 lists go, and you watched it anyways, and since you watched it all the way to this point of the video, I would really love some of your feedback on this series so I can improve it moving forward in the future. I really love how I make these videos, but I want to hear what you have to say, so feel free to leave any feedback down in the comments as well. I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.